Hello and welcome to Horse Sense. I'm your host and guide Mohit Lalvani. As always, we have plenty on the show today, and on this show we have a very special feature. To start off the new year, we travel the length and breadth of this world to find out that Singapore is indeed the best place to own a racehorse. Owning a racehorse is amongst the most exciting experiences, and owning one at the Singapore Turf Club is even more. With a host of benefits, it can be lucrative, but does involve a procedure that is important to understand.
Mohit, it's actually quite a simple procedure, and I think that's the problem with many people is they think it's really complicated and very involved. So let's start at the beginning, make it as simple as possible so people can understand exactly what they do. I think one of the most important things when you do decide to own a horse is selecting a trainer. It's not really purchasing the horse outright. I think purchasing a horse comes secondary to selecting a trainer, because a trainer is really a relationship. And I think it's most important that people select a trainer that they really get on with. Racing has to be sociable, it has to be fun. So it really has to be a combination of personalities, of people of like thinking, of like mind. So it's very difficult when somebody comes and says to me, look, who do you think I should train my horse? And I can't say, well, A, B, C, D, E. Normally I try and assess the person and give them probably a group of about 6 or 7 people to have a look at. A lot of people want to start racing with a small percentage. Some people want to race a horse outright. So that all comes into play. Obviously, we have all our details of the trainers on the website. They will come and say to me, for example, who's the leading trainer? Who do I think will give them the most attention? And from there, we take the next step. The person in question normally says to me, well, will I introduce you, which I do, take them along to the stables, and we start there. Obviously the next step is, okay, now I need a horse, what do I do? People should never go out and just buy a horse on their own. I mean, even I don't know exactly what to look at. We need to think of conformation, we need to look at the horse's pedigree, and obviously most important is what fits in with their budget. People shouldn't go out and say, well, look, just because it costs $100,000, it's going to win the Singapore Airlines International Cup. It doesn't work like that. A lot of luck comes into this, but obviously you need to start off on a good footing with something decent and something that is not going to put you under pressure financially. We have a number of reputable sales companies and that have representatives in Singapore. I obviously put them in touch with all of those people, and from there we go either to the horse sales, or many of the trainers do have horses in their yards that they're looking to sell shares in, looking to sell outright. So that's where we go, and that's the next step.
Owning a racehorse also has its share of responsibilities. As it's fun, it's also a serious business.
Well, it is, and I think that's where I try to play a role in getting the people to love their horses. I hate it when people think of horses as just a number that we push and something we can put money on. We need to see them as part of the family eventually, and that's why we encourage stable visits. The moment you go up and you pat your horse, give him a carrot, that bond starts. So we encourage that. We have obviously the people at barrier trials in the morning. A lot of the owners come to watch their horses work, and it's like anything, when you're seeing it in the flesh, you're seeing it in action, there is that affection that starts to build. So that's what we do. But in terms of, getting registered and all of those things, that's all taken care of by the MRA, which is the Malayan Racing Association, and it really isn't very difficult. Throughout the world, I think, from racing being seen as the sport of kings, which it still is, it has slowly become the sport of the people, which has made it more affordable for everybody and got everybody involved. So yes, there's certain criteria, but when I say criteria, we don't judge anybody. You obviously have to have a clean record in Singapore. You have to be 21 years of age, and that is really the basis of applying for your ownership. You would register as an owner, you would register your horse, and the exciting part of this is registering your racing colours. Everybody has their favourite colours. You may have a favourite design. Obviously these have to be approved by the MRA. If someone has the same colours, you can't have duplicate colours. And the majority of people in Singapore tend to race in what we call stables, which is similar to partnerships. That gives you the opportunity of purchasing a small share in a horse as opposed to buying it outright. and possibly have small shares in a couple of horses, which spreads your investment and spreads your fun, because you have horses racing more often as opposed to one horse which may only race once a month. Obviously, with partnerships, the minimum in a partnership is 2 people, which being the manager and a member, and the manager takes full control of everything that happens with the horse. The prize money gets paid to the manager. If there are any dealings about the horse from either the trainer's side or the club side, it takes place with the manager.
So how much does it cost to own a horse in Singapore?
Well, I think we need to look at the basic training fee in Singapore, which is $2,500 a month, which is set by the club. That is a guideline. Obviously, on top of that, you would get your veterinary fees, your farrier fees, and any incidentals in terms of nomination fees, and obviously some dental work if required. The benefit of Singapore is that the dental fees, the farrier fees, the veterinary fees are all subsidized and charged to the owner at cost. The $2,500 covers all their stabling, all their feed, all their bedding, and obviously the trainer's fee. So very, very affordable in Singapore. I think that one of the major benefits, and I know we were going to chat about that later, is the rewards incentive scheme for owners in Singapore. And for those of you who don't know what that's all about, for every time your horse runs in Singapore, with the exception of him running first, him or her, and 10 horses or more, second last or last, they would get a rebate of $900, which gets credited to your monthly account. So that reduces your monthly stabling immensely. Generally, horses that are sound and very fit would run twice a month, so the possibility of having $1,800 deducted from your monthly stabling fee is very possible.
Add to this the prize money offered by the Singapore Turf Club, and it's true that the financials look even better.
Prize money in Singapore is very attractive as compared to the stabling fee. The International Federation also did an assessment of stabling and costs throughout the world, and I'm proud to say that Singapore was second on the list, second only to Dubai. And when you look at Dubai, you know they only race for a limited period, and obviously their prize money is boosted by their final night, which is the international night. So really, I think Singapore is probably the most affordable place in the world to race. And I'm not saying that because I work here, but it is very true, and the statistics are there to prove it.
There are other benefits of ownership at the Singapore Turf Club as well.
Oh yes, we encourage owners to bring their guests. The guests can get signed in on a daily basis. We allow owners to bring in 10 guests every race meeting free of charge. When owners come racing on a race day, we obviously have the owners' lounge, and for those of people who have been up there of late, you'll see that there's lots of exciting things happening. Everything is being renovated. The first phase will be completed by the end of December, and we go back to the new phase in January, and obviously then they'll start on the second phase. The plans are absolutely awesome, and I think we're going to have an above world-class facility when it's all finished. So yes, the fact that Singapore racing is broadcast internationally has put it on the map, and people are looking and saying, well, that's the place to race. Prize money is great, stabling is affordable, and we want to be part of that world. I think from a local perspective, owners seem to be getting a little bit more. I think my department with the girls, we've tried to do more for the owners. We've launched a number of new initiatives, and this have had the present owners say to their friends, you know what, this is actually becoming quite fun. As we've started golf days for our owners and included the rest of the industry. Together with ARTS, the Association of Racehorse Trainers of Singapore, we've relaunched the Singapore Racing Awards. Owners get regular newsletters. From the new year, owners will get their own individual badge, which will just make them different to the regular race goers, and obviously when they race internationally, they'll be recognized as a Singapore owner. The other things that we've done for our owners, we give them a little gift of Chinese New Year, and then on our big day in May, I think those people who support the industry and who come racing, all our owners, will get a gift from the ownership department as well. So yes, they're all little things, but I think the owners have appreciated and looked at it and said, well, that's the place to be, and that's where we want to own a horse.
At the end of the day, there is clearly no excitement like winning a race.
Well, I've always said if they could bottle the thrill of owning a racehorse and watching it go past the winning post in first position, we wouldn't have enough place for all the owners. As I said earlier, I have been privileged enough to own quite a number of horses in South Africa, and if you see, we've got Wild Deb behind me, who is obviously named after me, and she won me 5 races, including a feature. So yes, that thrill is something that you can't describe. And I think having been with some of the owners of feature races, and especially the 2 big ones, the big international races here, to see that thrill on someone's face and to experience it yourself is just amazing. And in Singapore, after the race, we obviously gather all the owners and we go along to the champagne room, and that sound of the popping champagne just signifies victory. And we watch the race together, give the owners their souvenir DVD, which I know they watch over and over and over again when they go home. And then obviously each owner gets an additional gift from the horse ownership department. So yes, it's very exciting.
Well, on that note, we encourage each and every one of you to get involved in horse racing here at the Singapore Turf Club. We'll take a short break and come back. There's plenty more on Horse Sense. Don't go anywhere.